Welcome back. Let's chat about the new federal cabinet appointments and what appointments the Prime Minister made and what that could tell us about the new Carney Liberal government. Joining us is Alex Marland, the Jaroslavsky Chair in Political Trust and Leadership at Acadia University, helping us make sense of all this. Nice to see you.
Hi. We
have focused a lot on, it seems like a two-tier cabinet. You've got the, the big sort of blockbuster portfolios. Then there are a lot of Secretary of States, lesser portfolios. We were talking before the break about this idea of regional representation that used to be so much part of government that seems to have kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was really looking for in this cabinet with Mark Carney putting together his stamp all over the government is I was really interested, were they going to bring back the regional minister portfolio, the one that Justin Trudeau swept away? He only brought it back with the Quebec lieutenant. And so regional ministers were ministers who formerly had in their portfolio, regional minister for Nova Scotia, et cetera, et cetera. And that meant that everything flowed through them. And it meant that ministers in those areas were kind of giants. And so this was a pattern over time, but Trudeau got rid of that. What ended up happening was, as a result, power really got centralized in Justin Trudeau himself and in his Prime Minister's office. But we didn't see that end up happening. And what that tells me is that what's most likely to happen is Mark Carney going to end up saying, okay, ministers, you can have a lot of leeway, or is what's likely to happen? But a year from now, we're going to see increasingly that more and more power is being centralized in the Prime Minister's office, because that's the usual pattern.
And he's not a traditional politician. This is first time in the House of Commons, so I suspect he would be leaning very heavily on his advisors in that PMO.
Oh, yeah, he's also, he's a pretty smart guy. So,
sure.
One thing about all leaders, and I've studied this, is they listen to a lot of different perspectives. So there's no one person they always listen to. And they really absorb and they try to process things. And sometimes they'll put decisions off, and other times they'll make snap decisions based on instinct. But there's no question that the people he's going to be surrounding himself in the Prime Minister's office are in many ways the bigger players than a lot of the ministers are.
And some maritime names here, just a bit of a shopping list. Sean Fraser, who we saw step down and then decide he would unstep down. He would come back. He got a cabinet position with the Justice Minister. Heath MacDonald, PEI, Agriculture Minister. That's important in a province with only 4 MPs.
Yeah, and it's also going to be a big shift after, Lawrence MacCauley and it being there for so long. And so certainly on the island, they're going to be, he's an example of a regional minister for that island.
Right. Lena Metledge-Diab from Halifax West, immigration. That's a significant portfolio and has been for a number of years. And St. John MP, Wayne Long, who was perhaps the most outspoken of all Liberal MPs when the campaign to urge then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to leave, he's in cabinet. Should we read anything into that?
Well, Dominic LeBlanc is still the main person in New Brunswick, but should we read anything into it? I think what it does is it signals the fact that Wayne Long for many years has had ties with the business community in a way that the Justin Trudeau government didn't. And so this is not just about, Wayne Long's approach to Justin Trudeau, but really his sense of commitment to what some people call blue liberals and a more centrist approach.
Do you think Mark Carney would be more interested in execution than process?
Well, whenever you talk about ministers getting executed, I think about ministers getting fired. So who knows? That will happen at some point. But in terms of, it's very clear that I think that Mark Carney is somebody who hasn't grown up in party politics the way so many politicians have, or certainly party leaders have. It's far more likely that what we're going to see is he's going to want to simply act as though he is running a private sector organization and saying, look, I want this done, I want this done, get rid of the red tape, just move it forward, I don't want to deal with all this politics. I think that's likely. I think over time, though, that can get something that gets ground down. You
mentioned Dominic LeBlanc from the Beausejour riding in the Shediac area. He continues to be intergovernmental affairs minister. He is widely regarded to be the key person for the Prime Minister on that, but also newly created, sort of shifted minister responsible for that Canada-U.S. trade, which would tell you what?
It tells me that the Prime Minister trusts him a lot, trusts his instincts, and probably also compliments Mark Carney's instincts. And so Dominic LeBlanc has an incredible political pedigree with his father and just simply his lifetime, essentially, in politics. And so it has really a great instinct about how politics works, whereas Mark Carney brings other assets. And so between the two of them, Mark Carney's probably thinking they can be a formidable force.
Should we take from that title that this could be a long-haul battle, but it could be a long-haul process with the U.S. to, work on this sort of new trade reality that we're in?
Oh, absolutely. This is not any...
There's no quick fix.
No, well, I mean, as long as Donald Trump is president, there's always going to be issues going on, whatever they are. And frankly, even when there's a day that Trump is no longer president, there's still going to be issues going on with the United States that involve repair, or who knows what's going to come next. So this is not going away.
Is this a change government from the Trudeau government? You have something like 14 names that were in the previous cabinet or in this one.
In some ways, yes, but that's not because of the cabinet. The average person on a day-to-day basis is not thinking about who's minister or who's in cabinet. They're thinking about who's the leader. And Mark Carney is already putting his stamp on this government. We've just had an election, and so there's a clear change going on from Justin Trudeau. On the other hand, you could also make the case that this is a Liberal government that has been in power for nearly 10 years. And that is going to take its toll over time.
Right. Alex Marland, you always help us make sense of all this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good to have you. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We got lots more of your show still ahead.